Uh, in our last talk, we have discussed about the meaning of dependent arising. Uh, Dependent arising is not some kind of evolutionary change. Evolutionary change is something like the Samkhya philosophy. According to the Samkhya philosophy, the effect remains in the cause in a latent and manifest form, and it becomes actualized as the result of an evolutionary process. This is called parinama. The background of the emergence of Buddhism, uh, the Indian religions, and the different kinds of philosophy. And then mainly we can divide them into two mainstream. The first mainstream is called Arambhavata. Arambhavata means everything is composed of many elements. And the second mainstream is called Parinama. Parinama means that there is a first cause. From this first cause evolves different phenomena or different lives and matters. For example, the Samkhya school believe that the so-called Prakriti is the first cause of matter, the first cause of maturity. And the Purusa is the first cause or the first principle of spirit. From the first principle or first cause of matter, that is Prakriti, evolved different phenomena, including the mental phenomena and the physical phenomena. Therefore, we have the different beings and the non-different beings. This is the Samkhya theory. Samkhya theory regarded the Prakriti as the first principle or the first cause. And in Brahmanism, Brahma is regarded as the creator or the first cause, the first principle. From Brahma evolved different beings and non-different beings. This is another kind of the Parinama theory. And of course, there are some philosophy which believe that all the phenomena are philosophy, but even the illusory phenomena still comes from the first principle, the only principle. This is also classified as the parinama. But the theory of dependent origin in Buddhism is totally different from both the Arambhava Veda or the Parinama Veda. And here we discuss about the Parinama Veda of the Samkhya school. Thus, for the Samkhya, the cause of operation consists in rendering manifest Avibuddha, what has remained unmanifest, till Buddha. Buddha, its original meaning is something like a ghost, which cannot be seen by our eyes, which is formless. This is a Buddha. Buddha means from formlessness comes the form. And then again, we have the with Buddha means make something manifest, make something which was not manifest to manifest. This operation process is called Avibuddha. Rendering manifest. Rendering means giving or to bring what has remained unmanifest. Unmanifest is called Thirubuddha, the Thiru. Now, Thiru means beyond, not beyond. Therefore, Thirubuddha means beyond the formless. That is called Thirubuddha. It is beyond the something that the formless goes. Therefore, it is totally unmanifest. This is formlessness. Therefore, in Samkhya school, their cosmic theory is that the Prakriti has the power to manifest what is not manifest. What are not manifest, including all the different beings and the non-different beings. The Prakriti has the power to manifest all the unmanifest different beings and the non-different beings. Different beings and the non-different beings are existent already, but they exist in a latent form. They exist in an unmanifest form. And the Prakriti has the energy, has the power to make these unmanifest different beings and the non-different beings to manifest. This is the theory of Samkhya. This is called Parinama. And of course, the Brahmanism has the same theory. The only difference is the first principle. In Brahmanism, the first principle is Brahma, the creator God. The God can create everything he likes. But in Samkhya, the first cause or the first principle is not a personification of God, but only the Prakriti, something which is not the personification of God. It is not the Godhead, but it is the nature which exists by itself. So, under the force of the Purusha, Prakriti will manifest. Those are manifest. Okay. As a matter of fact, Parinama, in the sense of evolution, is never used either in the Pali discourses or in the Theravada Buddhist exists in order to explain dependent arising. As a matter of fact, the theory of Parinama, in the sense of evolution. Evolution means from the first principle evolve other sentient beings and non-sentient beings. This is the meaning of Parinama. It's never used in the Pali discourses or in the Theravadan Buddhist exists in order to explain arising. It means that in Theravadan Buddhism, there is no concept of the Parinama in terms of dependent arising. However, in the Mahayana Buddhism, we use the term of parinama. For example, the Vijnana parinama. Vijnana parinama believe that every phenomenon comes from the seeds in our Araya consciousness. The Araya consciousness is called the storehouse of all the seeds we planted before in the past. In the past, our mental activity, our thinking, or our verbal karma, or our behavior, although they are gone already, but they have the impact in our Araya consciousness. And those seeds in Araya consciousness will grow up again and again. When the conditions, when other conditions are mature to operate with the seeds in Araya consciousness, then the seeds will evolve into the eighth consciousness and the other seven consciousness. Therefore, in Mahayana Buddhism, we use parinama to explain the dependent arising, but the meaning is quite different between the Buddhist definition and the Samkhya or Brahmanism, because in Brahmanism or Samkhya school, there is a first cause or first principle or a creator. From this creator evolve other phenomena, no matter they are different beings or non-different beings. But in Buddhism, in the theory of the Vijnanatimatra, although the theory of Vijnanatimatra applies the term of parinama in Vijnana parinama, although he used the term of parinama, but in Vijnanatimatra philosophy or theory, Araya consciousness is changing all the time. It is different from unchanged first principle in the theory of parinama of Samkhya school or Brahmanism. In Buddhism, although we use the term of parinama in Vijnana parinama or consciousness parinama, but the concept is totally different. In Buddhism, everything is changing. There is no unchanged agent like the creator God Brahman or the first cause of Prakriti. It is different. And also in the theory of Buddha nature, all phenomena depend on our Buddha nature. It means that Buddha nature can evolve all the different phenomena. It is also a kind of parinama. But as we understand already, that in even the Tathagata theory, Tathagata or Tathagata Gotra or the Buddha nature is pure. It is not the same case as the Brahman creator God or the Prakriti in Samkhya school. Only when conditions are ripe then some phenomena will happen, will emerge. It is different. In short, that parinama is used in Mahayana Buddhism, but the concept is different from that of Sankhya school or Brahmanism, because in Buddhism, nothing remains unchanged. Everything is changing. Everything is in the progress of impermanence changing. This is very important to remember. In the Theravada Buddhism, parinama has never been used in explaining the concept of dependent arising, but it is different in Mahayana Buddhism and also in Tibetan Buddhism. We also use parinama to explain our epistemology, to explain how we perceive the external world. In Chinese Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism, we use the term of parinama to explain how we perceive the external world. It is, of course, true that the term occurs in other contexts, yet it is conspicuously absent in contexts where dependent arising is used. Of course, the term parinama is used in other contexts, but very clearly in Theravada Buddhism, when the notion of dependent arising is used to explain the happening, the emergence of phenomena, the so-called parinama is never used, has never been used. It is very important to remember that in Theravada Buddhism, parinama has never been used. Interestingly enough, the term used in the Buddhist text in describing the notion of change is not parinama, but viparinama. It is very interesting to note that although Theravada Buddhism has never used the term of parinama in explaining the concept of dependent arising, but in Theravada Buddhism, even in Theravada Buddhism, viparinama was used in describing the notion of change. The notion of change, if the notion of change in Sankhya school or Brahmanism, then they use the term parinama. But in Buddhism, and even in Theravada Buddhism, to explain the notion of change, the term is not parinama, but viparinama. It is different. Parinama was used in Sankhya school or Brahmanism to explain the notion of change. It has the meaning of evolution. All phenomena are evolved from the first principle or the first cause or the creator God. In Buddhism, we don't use the term parinama, but we use the term viparinama to explain the notion of change. So it is different. In Buddhism, when we explain the change, the notion of change, we don't use the term parinama, but we use the term viparinama. Viparinama, what does it mean? Viparinama, in Pali or in Sanskrit means different, different. Parinama has the notion of evolution to explain the concept of change, but parinama has never been used in Theravada Buddhism. Only viparinama was used in even for Theravada Buddhism and also in Chinese and Tibetan Buddhism. We also use the term viparinama. Parinama is evolution, changing. And the viparinama, it means different, different change or different from parinama. For example, hence we have the recurring sentence. Often recurring sentence. It means that the foreign sentence has been used from time to time, or conditioned phenomena are of the nature of viparinama, or the conditioned phenomena means the phenomena which are conditioned by elements, conditioned by other factors. They are changing because they are conditioned. They depend on other factors. Those conditioned phenomena have the nature of viparinama. Here, we have to pay attention to this sentence. We don't use the term parinama. We don't say that all conditioned phenomena are of the nature of parinama. If we use in this case, then it means all the conditioned phenomena depend on other factors, and all the conditioned phenomena will evolve, will produce other phenomena. But we don't use the sentence, all conditioned phenomena are of the nature of parinama. We have the nature of viparinama. It means that all the conditioned phenomena have the nature of changing, and finally will disappear, will extinguish, will disappear, will be no more existent. This is the different concept as the parinama. Parinama means to produce new things, but viparinama is on the reverse, to make existing things change and finally disappear. This is different. So we say viparinama, means other or different. Parinama, that means to produce something. The viparinama means to make something which are already existent to change and finally to cease, to extinguish, no more exist. This is a different concept. Another case in point is viparinama dukkha, that is suffering that occurs from reversal of circumstances. Another case important, very important, we explain the dukkha in different terms. For example, we have the term of dukkha dukkha, dukkha dukkhata. Then we have the second category of viparinama dukkha. Viparinama means changing. So viparinama dukkha means suffering because of the change of condition, because of the reversal of circumstance, because viparinama means to change, finally to disappear. We have the dukkha dukkha, then we have the viparinama dukkha. Then at us we have the so-called samkhara dukkha. Samkhara dukkha. Samkhara means very detailed changing. That is the changing of our mind. Usually we classify dukkha into 3 groups. The first group is called dukkha dukkha, which is the suffering like we human beings. We are in the realm of desire. So we have the dukkha dukkha. Our life process suffering itself. The second group is parinama dukkha. It means the dukkha, the suffering because of the changing to extinction of the circumstance. And then the third group is called samkhara dukkha. Samkhara dukkha means mental changing suffering, the suffering caused by mental changing or our changing thought. If the verbal form parinamati means to become same-wise, the verbal form viparinamati means to become otherwise, anatta-hoti. We have 2 verbal forms. We have 2 verbs. The first one is parinamati. Parinamati is the verbal form of parinama. Parinamati means to become same-wise. Same-wise means the producer produce the product. So the product has the same nature as the producer. This is the same nature. This is the meaning of parinamati, because Brahman God produces all creatures or all different beings and non-different beings. All things, all phenomena are the product of the Brahman God. In a Samkhya philosophy, all phenomena evolve from the first principle of Prakriti. They have the same nature. This is called same-wise. However, the verb viparinamati means to become otherwise. To become otherwise, to become different nature. Otherwise means anatta-hoti. Anatta means different, means different. And the hoti, hoti means being or existence. Therefore, anathoti means different existence. Viparinamati means to become otherwise. What Viparinama brings into focus is not evolutionary change, but change with no unchanging substance behind the process of change. In Theravada Buddhism, we use the term viparinama. For example, all conditioned phenomena are of the nature of viparinama. Or we also say parinama dukkha. Parinama dukkha are the suffering of the realm of form. It is the suffering caused by the changing of the circumstances. What viparinama into focus, it is that we have to pay attention. The most important point of the concept of viparinama is not evolutionary change. In other words, parinama is a kind of evolutionary change, but viparinama is not a kind of evolutionary change. And the parinama behind the phenomena, there is one unchanged substance or one unchanged creator Brahma. The first principle is unchanged, but the first principle can produce, can evolve other phenomena. This is the concept of parinama. However, in viparinama, the most important thing to remember is it has no concept of evolutionary change. It is not the concept of evolutionary change. Therefore, behind the process of changing, there is no agent. There is no unchanged force principle or unchanged creator God. It is quite different because in Buddhism, we always emphasize the concept of dependent arising. If we clearly understand the concept of dependent arising, then we understand that there is no agent at all. There is no creator at all. But what makes the phenomena to change from time to time? They are the conditions. When the conditions group together, then something may emerge. But this is not a concept of evolutionary change. It is the concept of dependent arising. There is no substance. There is no entity. There is no first principle. There is no creator God, no Brahman, no matter what we call it. Behind the process of the phenomenal changing, behind the process of changing, there is no unchanged principle. This is the most important point to keep in mind. The Theravadan exegetics were well acquainted with the Samkhya theory, from which they wanted to dissociate the Buddhist teaching on dependent writing. It means that the writers or the scholars of the dependent Buddhism in ancient time, they were well acquainted. It means that they understood very much the Samkhya theory. Therefore, they are very careful when they want to explain the cosmology or to explain our life. They are very careful. They understood very well the Samkhya theory, the theory of parinama. Therefore, when they want to explain our life or the world, they didn't use the term parinama, but they used the term viparinama to explain that everything is changing. Nothing can remain unchanged. Viparinama is the concept of changing, to decay, to disappear. It is the different concept of the parinama. They wanted to dissociate the Buddhist teaching on dependent arising from that of the Sankhya theory or of the Brahmanism theory. Hence, they observe that according to Buddhism, very important, there are 3 points. If we want to understand the correct meaning of dependent arising, then we have to bear in mind these 3 points. The first point is the cause does not have the effect in its own. That is, the effect is not in the cause in the latent form. Here we use the term of genealogy. For example, a mother has her baby. A mother has her baby in her womb, but the dependent arising theory in Buddhism doesn't think so. The cause does not have the effect in its womb. That means the effect is not in the cause in the latent form, or we may say in another way, the cause has no effect at all. The cause does not have the effect in its womb. The second point is the cause is not in the effect. This is the opposite of the first point. The cause is not in the effect. That the first point is the effect is not in the cause. Then second point is on the opposite. The cause is not in the effect. That is, the cause is not in the effect in an actualized form. In actualized form means after some working or some operation, then the cause becomes effect. And actually, the cause is not in the effect. Okay. Then the third point is the effect is empty of the cause. The effect is empty of the cause. Empty of, it means has no cause at all. Not only the effect not in the effect is not in the cause, but all cause, but also the effect has no cause. The effect is empty of the cause, totally empty of the cause. Then how to explain the principle of cause and the effect in Buddhism? The Buddhism use the dependent arising to explain our life and the universe. The effect is empty of the cause. That is, the cause is not immanent in the effect. The cause is not immanent. Immanent means inherent. The cause is not inherent in the effect. It means that effect has no cause at all. And of course, cause has no effect at all. The cause has no effect, and that the effect has no cause. Then what is the reality? The reality is dependent arising. All the causes, all the conditions are undergoing changing. All the conditions are changing all the time. There is no end. And of course, there's no beginning. No beginning and no end. Everything is undergoing changing all the time. It is in a process of flux, like a flowing water, like a river. A river is flowing all the time. Our life or other phenomena are changing, like the flowing river. There's no stop point at all. Everything is changing, just like our life is changing. Therefore, we say one day we will die. It doesn't mean that our life will come to its end in the future. It doesn't mean that. Death is only the dissolution of our physical body, but it is not the end of our consciousness, of our mental energy. Our life is undergoing change. Every time we will be reborn again. When we will be reborn, then we will undergo changing to age, and finally to get sick, and then to die, to return to warm, to turn to warm. To turn means when we are born, we are growing, and we are moving toward the tomb, the graveyard. One day we will die. To tomb, T-O-M-B, and then to womb, W-O-M-B. It means that we will have next death. We will take rebirth in our next life. This is very important to remember, that there is no effect in the cause and no cause in the effect, and that the effect is empty of the cause. Only the theory or the principle of dependent arising is operating all the time. The same ideas seem to be expressed by the use of the term non-perversion, abhyapada, to describe the relationship that subsists between the cause and the effect. This same idea means no cause in effect, the no effect in cause, the effect is empty of the cause. This idea seems to be expressed by the use of the term. We can also use another term, non-provoking. Abhyapara describe the relationship that subsists between the cause and the effect. Here we have the term non-provocation. Abhyapara. Abhya, A-B-Y-A. Abhya means non, N-O-N. And para, P-A-R-A. P-A-R-A, para means other. Therefore, abhya para means none other or no other. No other. The English translation of non-provocation is quite confusion. Provocation means deviation, or something which is regarded as different from the normal or ordinary concept. This is kind of provocation. And provocation is often used in the term of sexual provocation. Sexual provocation. Sexual provocation means the so-called abnormal sexual relationship between two people, because in the past people believed that the sexual relationship could be existed only between male and female. But in the history of humankind, there are different type of the sexual relationship, and this different type is regarded as provoked sexual relationship. Therefore, non-provocation can be explained as a very formal or very certain. We can use the term of non-provocation or very certain. Non-promotion means non-uncertainty. To describe the relationship that subsists between the cause and the effect, we have the definition of non-provocation here. When the condition exists, there is the arising of the effect. When the condition does not affect, the effect does not exist, the effect ceases to be. This is the concept of non-provocation. So, as I explained, that non-provocation maybe can be defined as non-uncertain. Non-uncertain. It means that it is quite certain. It is quite certain. It is quite clear. What does it mean? It means that when the condition exists, actually here condition should be used in plural form. When the conditions exist, if we use in a singular form, it is used in the 12-link causation, the 12-link causation of factors. For example, when there is ignorance, then there is volitional formation. When there is volitional volition, there is the relinking consciousness. It is in this way. So we use the singular form because in the 12 factors of consciousness, each factor is used in a singular form. We have the term of ignorance and the volitional formation, consciousness, nama rupa. Nama rupa means mentality, the physical body. And then we have the 6 sense faculties. Each factor is used in a singular form. When the condition exists, there is the arising of the effect. For example, when ignorance exists, there is the arising of the volitional formation. When the condition does not exist, the effect ceases to be. For example, we may say, when ignorance does not exist, the volitional formation ceases to be. We have 2 ways to explain our life circle. The first one is the forward process of our life process. And the other one is called the backward process of our life. And the relationship between the cause and the effect is quite certain. It is non-uncertain. It is a kind of necessity or a kind of certainty. The relationship between the cause and the effect is certain. We can make sure that if there is ignorance, there will be volitional formation. And if there is volitional formation, there will be linking consciousness. And in the same case, if there is no ignorance, then volitional formation ceases to exist. There is no more volitional formation. And also we can use, if there is birth, then there will be death. If there is no birth, there will be no death. The relationship between the cause and the effect is very certain. We can clearly understand that the effect will happen in the future if we understand the causes or the conditions. If we understand the causes or the conditions, then we can predict the future effect. This kind of relationship is non-provocation, or we may say non-provoked. This relationship is resolved, it is certain, it is definite. We can predict the effect of the cause. The force of this statement is that nothing passes from the cause to the effect, or that the cause does not pervade the effect. The force of this statement of this sentence is that nothing passes from the cause to effect. It means that there is no entity, there is no I, no agent passes from the cause to the effect, or that the cause does not pervade the effect. Pervade means to spread, that there is no cause pervading the effect. It means that effect has no cause in itself. In effect, there is no cause. And in cause, there is no effect. There is only the principle of dependent arising. And here we have the word pervade. Pervade means to spread everywhere. The cause does not spread the effect. The cause does not come to the effect. We have the verb here, pervade. We may doubt that the non-perversion maybe can be translated, can be changed to non-pervasion, Pervasion. If we translate as non-pervasion, is also acceptable because here we use the term that the cause does not pervade the effect. Pervade is evolved, is a noun form, is pervasion, Pervasion. Therefore, non-abhyapara maybe can be translated into non-pervasion. What this clearly amounts to is that dependent arising is not based on the dichotomy between substance and equality. What does this term, non-perversion or non-pervasion, abhyapara means? Is that dependent arising is not based on the dichotomy. Dichotomy means has two entities or has two elements. They are opposite between substance and quality. The substance is we call it the reality, and the nature. Quality is the nature. Buddhism doesn't accept the dichotomy between substance and quality. It means substance is same as quality. Quality means nature. For example, we have the quality of water as weight and cool. So the nature of the water or the quality of the water is weight and cool. And behind the quality or the nature of weight and the cool, there is no substance, there is no agent, there is no entity at all. It means we use the word water to denote its substance and its quality at the same time. The water is a term which has the connotation of substance and quality at the same time. Behind the quality or nature of weight and cool, there is no substance at all. The substance actually is identical to quality or nature. This is the idea or the concept in Buddhism. It means in Buddhism, there is no I, there is no unchanged entity, there is no substance. Everything is changing. There is no substance at all. Then we call it shunyata, or voidness, or emptiness. Therefore, there's no substance at all. There's only the quality. The quality or the nature, we may classify, divide them into three characteristics of existence. They are impermanent, they are satisfactory, and they are egoless. These three are the characteristics of the existence or the condition phenomena. There's no substantial entity, there's no agent at all. There is only the process of changing. According to Buddhism, the cause is neither a substantial entity nor an active agent. This is to explain the last sentence. The last sentence, it means the dependent operation is not based on the dichotomy between substance and the quality. Then we have the explanation here. According to Buddhism, the cause is neither a substantial entity. Substantial entity refers to the substance, or an active agent. An active agent, that means the power behind the phenomena, the power to produce other phenomena. This is the active agent. For example, in Buddhism, we don't have the concept of creator God. We don't have the concept of the first principle, or even the first principles in plural form of principle. There is no agent behind our life or behind our world. There is no active agent. Active agent means which has the power to drive other phenomena or to produce other things. There is no substantial entity. There is no active agent at all. And what make the phenomena change all the time? It is nothing but the principle of dependent operation. Very important. Therefore, because there is neither a substantial entity nor an active agent, therefore there is no substance at all. We only use the term of the nature or the quality to describe any phenomena. Actually, there is no I. It is anatta or anadama. There is no unchanged I or unchanged entity, unchanged substance. This means that Buddhism also keeps equally aloof from such theories as that of the Purva Mimamsa school of Indian philosophy. This means that Buddhism also keeps equally aloof. Equally aloof means the Buddhism keeps aloof from the so-called Samkhya philosophy. The Samkhya philosophy has the concept of the substantial entity, the first cause, the first principle. And of course, Buddhism also keeps equally aloof from the Purva Mimamsa school. Purva Mimamsa school is a kind of Brahmanism. It emphasizes that there is an active agent, which has the power or the force to produce other things or to make other things to change. This is the theory of Purva Mimamsa. Mimamsa school is a very important school of Indian philosophy. And the Purva means before, or the early stage of the Mimamsa school. The later causal theory is called the theory of force, Shaktivada, because here the cause is defined as some kind of force Shakti, which brings about the effect. Okay. Purva Mimamsa school also accepts the concept of causal theory. This school also believes that any phenomena has its own cause. But Purva Mimamsa school believes the causal theory as the theory of force. The force is called Shakti. Shakti in Pali, the force or the power. Vada means philosophy or science, the science of force. Because here, the Shaktivada here, the cause is defined as sometimes of force, which brings about the effect. But in Buddhism, we don't say that the cause or the condition has the power, has the force to produce the effect. There is no power, there is no force at all in the cause, only the cause or the condition. It is perhaps with this theory in mind that the Pali exegesis observes that the cause does not have its own sway or own power Vasavadi to produce the effect. This is very important because we usually misunderstand that the cause or our karma has to produce our life in the future. We always say that our present life is the effect of our karma in previous life, but this is totally wrong. We cannot say that our present life is determined by our past life, by the karma we made in our past life. the party exists, the party commentaries or the party books observe that the course does not have the power, does not have its own sway or own power, own sway or own power. That means it has the controlling power. It can use its power at its will. It can use the power to produce the effect, or can change the effect, or to change everything, or even to change our life. Okay. So there's no power in the cause to produce the effect, because there's no entity, there's no substance. It is egolessness. It is anatta, because everything is impermanent. Everything is anicca. Therefore, everything is anatta. Everything has no power to produce the effect, to produce the future. Therefore, we will no more say that our life is determined by our karma we made in our past life. In a cognitive process, for example, all mental phenomena such as attention and perception take place naturally, according to the principles of psychological order, citta niyama. Each stage in the continuum being conditioned by the immediately preceding one, with no substance passing from one stage to another. Okay. In a cognitive process, in the process of our perceiving the objects, or our thinking about the object, all mental phenomena, such as attention and perception. Of course, we have different kind of mental phenomena, not only attention and perception. We also have the sensation. We also have the thinking and the other mental phenomena or other mental factors. They take place, they happen naturally. There's no force behind the changing process. All the cognitive process happens naturally according to the principles of psychological order, or the psychological principle, citta yana. Here we may explain what is the meaning of niyama. The meaning of niyama means the law, or the principle, or the rule behind our life, the whole universe. As a Buddhist, we always say that we are determined by our past karma, and our karma determines our life. Actually, this is a totally wrong idea in Buddhism. Our life is not determined by our past karma. Therefore, in Buddhism, we have 5 niyama. Niyama means a law or the principle, or we may say it is the definite explanation of the cause and the effect. We have 5 niyamas. The first niyama is so-called utu, utu, utu niyama. Utu niyama. Utu means the weather or the temperature. This is the mountain physics. So utu niyama can be compared to the modern physics, modern chemistry, or modern geography, or modern science of the inorganic matter. So the utu niyama explains the law or the principle of our natural world, non-different being. They are inorganic. For example, we have earthquake, we have typhoon, and we have climate change. Those can be called the physics, the chemistry, or the geography, or the science of inorganic matters. This is called utu niyama. Therefore, Taiwan, we have several typhoons each year, which may cause many harms to our lives and to our property. Some Buddhists may say, oh, it is because of our bad karma in the past. Therefore, we have the earthquake, we have the typhoon in Taiwan. No, it doesn't mean that. It is the utu niyama. It is the physics. It is the physics or chemistry or geography or the science of inorganic matters. This is the fourth niyama. The second niyama is called the bija, bija niyama. Bija means seed, S-E-D. We may call it the science of genetics, the modern genetics, or the phenomena of the different being. All the different beings, including animals and the plants. Even the plants have life. We animal, we have life, and the plants, for example, the trees, the grasses, they have life. And the other animals like fish or owls or sheep or tiger or elephant, they also have life. They are different beings. They are essential beings. Bija is the science of genetics, or we may call it biology. It is the modern science of genetics or biology. In medicine, we say our physical body is determined by the genes of our father and our mother. This is the science of genetics or biology. That is the bija niyama. And of course, in the field of plants, in the field of rice or wheat or the trees or the fruits or the grasses, we also have the concept of seed. The seeds can determine the future growth of the same nature. The third niyama is called karma niyama. A karma niyama is a law of morality, law or principle of morality. It has something to do with the so-called kusala or akusala karma. Kusala means skillful or wholesome karma. Now, karma means our concept, our speech, our physical behavior, our action. They are called karma. Karma niyama is the principle of morality. It means if we have wholesome or moral thought, moral speech, and moral behavior, then in the future, we have good effect of happiness. And on the contrary, if our karma is bad, unwholesome, immoral, then our mental process in the future will result in unhappiness. This is called the karma niyama. The fourth niyama is called dhamma, D-H-A-M-M-A, dhamma niyama. Dhamma niyama is the law of dhamma. Dhamma has many different definitions. Dhamma can be defined as all phenomena, and also the nature of all phenomena, and also the discourse or the teaching of the Buddha to explain all realities, all phenomena, and the nature of all phenomena. Dhamma has a very wide scope of definition. And we can make an example. The dhamma niyama, we may define the dhamma niyama here, the dhamma as the nature or the characteristics of the existence. Therefore, the dhamma niyama refers to the three characteristics of existence in Theravada Buddhism. They are anicca, impermanence, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or suffering, and also anatta, non-self. And in Mahayana Buddhism, in Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, we have the dhamma niyama as the ultimate reality, the principle of ultimate reality. The ultimate reality can be called emptiness of self-nature. Emptiness, the concept of emptiness derived from the concept of dependent arising. Because everything is dependent arising, everything is therefore empty of itself nature, because everything depends on other factors or other conditions. This is called the Dhamma Niyama. And the last one is called Citta Niyama. Citta means the mind or the mental. Citta Niyama means the principle or the law of the mind. It is the modern psychology. Very interesting. We can define the 5 niyamas from the perspective of modern science. Uti niyama is the modern physics, chemistry, geography, or science of inorganic matter. And Citta Niyama is the psychology. And the Bija Niyama is the science of genetic or genealogy, or we may call it a biology, not biology. Therefore, Buddhism is quite scientific. It has the 5 niyamas, and we can compare them to the modern sciences. What is the Citta Niyama? Citta Niyama is psychology. It explains the process of our spiritual operation. For example, our sensation, our perception, our thinking, or our willingness. This is the Citta Niyama. We can explain it from the point of the 12 links of condition, or the 12 factors of condition. Because there is ignorance, but then there will be volitional formation. Because there is volitional formation, there will be relinking consciousness. This is the explanation from the 12 links of conditions or factors to explain our life cycle, our birth and death. And of course, we can explain from another angle. This is the explanation in Buddhaghosa's commentary, the Visuddhimagga. The Visuddhimagga means the commentary of liberation, or the path leading to the purification, or we can call it simply as the path of purity, the path of purity. For example, Buddhaghosa explains that our mental phenomena into 89 phenomena. There are a total of 89 phenomena of our mental process. And these 89 mental factors can be grouped or can be classified into 14 processes of our mental operation. at the very beginning of our rebirth. The first mental phenomena is called relinking consciousness. Relinking consciousness means the consciousness links the past life and the present life. And after the first relinking consciousness, then we have the second factor that's called life continuum. It is called the continuum of our consciousness, or we may call it consciousness continuum in modern psychology. Then, if we are attracted by external object, then we turn our attention to external object or certain object. This is called attending. This is the third process is called attending. When we turn our attention to any object, then we have the sensation of seeing or hearing or smelling or tasting or touching. And after that, we will investigate what is the object we see, we hear, or smell, or taste, or touch. Then we investigate what is the object investigate. And then after investigation, we determine what we see is an apple, or what we see is Mr. A, not other person or not other thing. We determine. After our determination, we have the feeling of liking or disliking. And then we have the wish to get it which we like, and to reject what we dislike. And after that, we will return to our consciousness continuum. This is called the Chitta Niyama. It means because of the previous psychological phenomena, we will have the succeeding psychological or mental phenomena. This is called the Chitta Niyama. In total, we have 5 niyama. The Chitta Niyama can be called psychology in modern science. It means, if we understand clearly the theory of dependent arising, then we will no more claim that our present life is determined by our past karma. Karma niyama is only one of the 5 laws or the 5 principles to determine our life or our destiny, or even the universe. This is quite important to understand the niyama. Niyama means the law or the principle or the certainty of the phenomena between the preceding phenomena and the succeeding phenomena. There are many factors to determine our destiny and the whole universe. right. All right. Now is the end of tonight's talk. Is there any comment?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, I have 3 points. Maybe I can just share or mention. The first point is that in this version of the book, it still used the non-perversion.
Non-perversion, yes.
Yeah, but I believe it already be corrected in the second version to be non-perversion. That means non-perversion. And that should be the
okay, thank you.
This correct form. That's the first point. And the second point that, as I just heard, that all the factors or the cause are not constant entity. I can understand the reason for this, because if all these factors are constant, then there is no way to change it. So it means that we will always be in the circle of life and death, because if ignorance is unchanging, then there is no need or no possibility to change it. Then we are always just like from ignorance there comes the original fabrication and the life and death and all the way. But just because they are changing, so that means we can make an effort to change it. That. And the third point is in connection with what I just mentioned, because I always thought maybe we can see the dependent arising from the standpoint or from the perspective of the Four Noble Truths. That means conditioned by ignorance, there comes the original fabrication and etc. That means the origination of our suffering. But because when unconditioned by ignorance, there is no original fabrication. That indicates the way of cessation. So I don't know whether you're right, but I think maybe we can see dependent arising from the perspective of the Four Noble Truths. Yeah, I don't know whether you're right.
Yes. Regarding the first point, the author changed because of my suggestion. When I translated it, I spent a lot of time to consider about whether it is non-perversion or non-perversion. Then I wrote an email to the author. I suggested to change it to non-perversion. And of course, non-perversion or non-perversion can be applicable. However, non-perversion may be better, may be the better translation. And because nothing remains unchanged, therefore, we cannot say that ignorance is changing. Ignorance can be changed to more ignorant or less ignorance. If we put effort in learning Buddha Dharma and practice Buddha Dharma, then we can lessen our ignorance. If we don't Learn Buddha Dharma, practice Buddha Dharma, our ignorance will grow much more than before. And of course, the third point, you say whether the Four Noble Truths can be used to explain the dependent arising. Yes, the fourth principle of dukkha is the effect of the second noble truth. The second noble truth is the cause or the aggregate of the factors of suffering. And because we understand the second noble truth, the cause or the condition of suffering, we understand that the cause can be eliminated. We can get rid of the second noble truth of ignorance. Then we can have the third noble truth of nirodha, or the extinction of suffering. Therefore, in the early Buddhism, we must discuss the Four Noble Truths as a group. They are fourfold. They are one, but we divide into four perspectives to explain the reality of our life. The fourth noble truth is the cause of the third noble truth of extinction of suffering. Thank you very much. That Four Noble Truths is a very good explanation of the dependent arising. Dependent arising usually is used to explain the 12 links of condition or 12 links of factors. But at the very beginning, the Buddha mentioned about the Four Noble Truths from the perspective of dependent arising. Thank you, Edda.
Thank you.
Professor, about the five niyama in the Chinese classes, you say hedu niyama, no karma niyama. In English, classes you say karma niyama. You can say hedu niyama.
Hedu niyama. Okay, hedu means the cause. Hedu niyama, it is the cause principle. So it is from the perspective of morality. If we have a moral thinking, moral speech, moral behavior, then in the future we can have the happiness in the future. This is the head niyama, and it can be also called karma niyama. Okay. Okay.